Well, we are now 2 days in at practice here at the Forrest Wood Cup on Lake Murray, and I have, I guess, first year Tour Pro, Casey Scanlon, also first time qualifier for the Forrest Wood Cup. So I gotta ask you, how's it going so far?
It's been a little slow for me, so kind of tried a little bit of everything. Been running around the lake. The first time I saw it was yesterday morning, so you know, did a lot of looking and haven't had a whole lot of clues yet. So it's been a little tough on me. I mean, this lake's got an awesome amount of cover. I mean, boat docks, a lot of points, brush piles, grass, and I fished a little bit of everything. And you know, getting a few bites here and there, but I haven't locked onto anything solid, that's for sure.
Well, being that you know, the first time you set foot on the lake was yesterday, and it is such a fishy lake. I mean, literally there isn't a part of the lake that looks like it shouldn't hold a bass. How have you tried to break the lake down?
Yesterday I went upriver and I fished majority of the day up there. Just, you know, in the morning I was kind of lost. I got out here and there's all these islands and everything, so I did a little running around, kind of got my bearings where I was at, and headed upriver. You know, had a few bites yesterday. You know, when you get a bite, it's usually a good one. But you know, didn't lock into anything solid up there. So today I stayed here in the middle section of the lake and you know, tried to fish some schooling fish. We really haven't had the conditions either days for schooling fish, in my opinion. You know, you kind of want it hot and slick so you can see them and they can come to the bait better. You know, you see it from a long distance. So did a little bit of that, and that was kind of fruitless, and spent a majority of the time up shallow today here in the mid-lake area. Fished a lot of brush piles, things like that, and you know, it was still a slower day. I've seen some big fish, but haven't got many of them to commit to a bait yet.
You know, you mentioned the conditions for schooling fish, and the weather forecast this week. You know, like right now it's kind of cloudy. Yesterday we had some storms roll through, and there's like little popcorn showers that kind of pop up all day. It seems like, if we're going to trust the forecast, it's going to be like that almost the rest of the week, like through the tournament, which could actually really hamper the schooling bite. Are you going to still try to dial that in a little bit?
Yeah, you know, I still haven't wrote anything off. You know, I know some guys are going to catch them schooling, but you know, this is the first tournament all year, and we usually don't get many tournaments where the weather forecast is consistent. So, but this week I had to double check because it was like 10 days of the same forecast. So it looks like it's going to be, you know, kind of like this, you know, partly cloudy, you know, some patchy showers all throughout the tournament. So, you know, I still haven't ruled anything out, so I'm going to still try some of the brush piles and you know, schooling fish, which are usually a lot better in the sun. But you know, you can't write anything off. We still got 2 days of practice left, so just still searching right now.
I feel like back in May, kind of the big storyline that we were starting to hear from Murray was the amount of grass that was present, whether it was bank grass, you know, submergent vegetation. There was just more of it. It was kind of the storyline. You being here the first time, what do you think of the grass in Murray?
You know, there's a ton of water willow or bank grass, and there's a lot of grass on the bottom. I've seen some, I don't know exactly what it is. There's some eel grass that I've seen. So there's a wide variety of grasses. I wish there was a little bit more water on some of it, but you know, I've fished a lot of good stuff that has plenty of water on it to hold a bass. You know, you shouldn't really need more than 18 inches in that water willow to you know, to hold some bass in there. But you know, there's some bluegill up, but it just seems like you know, the bass aren't quite up there. I've been watching the water levels. Seems like they're dropping a little bit, so I think they're down, you know, almost a foot from a week or two ago. So you know, that could be hurting that bite a little bit, but you know, the grass is healthy. You know, a lot of brush piles. I was surprised by that. You know, ton of brush, and haven't been able to get bit out of that either. I've seen a lot of fish in the brush. It looks like on my Garmin electronics, but haven't had much luck there either. But the lake looks wonderful. A lot of bait in there, a lot of bluegill up. So hopefully I can run into the right stretch, and you know, it turns out to be a good tournament.
Well, you kind of brought up the last thing I wanted to throw to you was the bluegills, right? We got a full moon, it's warm. I was on the water a little today. I saw some bluegill beds. Forrest Wood Cups in the past, it seems like bedding bluegills have been a pretty big factor. I mean, like usually in the top 5, someone's doing that. Is that something you might try to run and look at more? Because you can actually visually find a lot of that stuff without sticking fish and you're trying to burn fish.
And I did a lot of that today, you know, just looking for the active bluegill beds, the ones that had bluegills on them. Didn't see many bass around them, but you know they're around somewhere.
For sure.
And it seems like to me, you know, I know last week at Lake of the Ozarks we had a ton of bluegill come up on the new moon a couple weeks ago. So, and it looks like there's a lot of these empty bluegill beds. So, but there's still a lot of them that are active. So, there's going to be some fish caught around them for sure.
Well, Casey, I will let you get rolling. Thanks for joining me, man.
Appreciate it.
Well, here we go. Day 2 of practice is sort of winding down now. I got Greg Bohannan joining me. Greg, you are an Ozark guy.
I am.
And the interesting thing about Murray here is there's a pretty good topwater bite. You guys in the Ozarks pretty good doing that. There's also a pretty good schooling bite. You guys in the Ozarks also pretty good at doing that. So I assume it's been a pretty decent practice so far.
Well, let's don't jump to anywhere. You know, the thing we have here, we have blueback herring. You know, we don't have blueback herring in the Ozarks.
That's true.
You know, that's bit me quite a few times fishing herring lake. So, you know, what it reminds me of is exactly this, like we were here last time. I was here, I didn't make it last time. I made it in 08, my first year on tour. We came here, Michael Bennett won. And to me, the lake's setting up exactly like that. You know, we got a lot more grass this time. The bites are about the same, very few and far between. When you get one, sometimes they're a pretty good one, but you just got to cover a lot of water to get bit.
Have you, I mean, we're 2 days in, have you tried to sample a little bit of the deep, whether it's brush pile or some of those schooling fish and shallow stuff, or have you been kind of committed one way or another?
I've been trying to do both. You know, about half the day shallow, half the day deep, and bouncing back and forth. And we get an extra day of practice now, 4 days of practice, and so I've kind of broke the lake down in 4 sections, and I'm going to try to do a section each day, and whatever get the most bites, that's where I'm going to spend my time in the tournament.
I think practice here is kind of interesting, and a lot of these summertime tournaments where you're not getting a lot of bites, you'll see a lot of guys kind of cruising down the bank if they're shallow fishing. You know, maybe throwing a buzzbait with the hook cut off or whatever, just trying to get fish to show themselves. Have you found yourself just looking, not even really casting, but maybe running into a pocket going, ooh, that looks pretty prime, I might want to check this out later on?
Yeah, you know, where I have got just a few bites that I've got, you know, I have run around, I put some waypoints, I didn't fish them, you know, because if you get a bite there, you know, there's probably only one in an area, and so I don't want to burn that fish. And so I'm keeping some hooks cut off, and I am just running some areas that look like I can duplicate, you know, and just putting a waypoint and then moving on down the lake.
The other interesting thing, I think, this far in practice is normally, when I think of Columbia, South Carolina in the summertime, I think like hot, you know, 110 degrees, humid as heck, but it's actually been pretty decent. We got a little shower kind of sprinkling over right now. Do you think this weather, because they're kind of calling for this all week, do you think that'll factor in at all to the bite?
Well, it has to. I mean, it has to. You know, it's cloudy and overcast day. We had some rain today. I mean, the fish didn't tell me that, you know, they weren't much more active today. But it has to, you know, play a little bit, you know. And so I prepared like it was going to be 110 every day. You know, I fished every day in Arkansas, you know, for about 3 weeks straight. And it was about 100 degrees every day in Arkansas, and got out and ran in the afternoon. I was prepared for all this heat and humidity, and we've been really fortunate. I think we're going to be pretty fortunate the whole tournament.
I think so. It's actually pretty comfortable right now. I guess the final thing I want to leave you with is obviously 2 days left of practice. You said you're splitting the lake into 4 sections. Are we working our way up or are we going down?
Well, I'm working my way up. You know, I've been on the lower end for a couple days, and, you know, like I say, everything's pretty scattered. And I'm hoping as I move, maybe when I move up the river, you know, things are a little more grouped up. Maybe I'll find some schooling fish. And but I'm looking forward to going. I'm glad we got 4 days. A lake this size, you know, it's good to have 4 days.
Right on, man. Well, thank you. Good luck.
All right, thank you, man.